Hey guys, how's it going? I am WWE Hall of Famer Lita, welcoming you to General Admission Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GAW Dark. As we make our return here for Season 3, we return to the friendly confines of Atlanta and the former home of the WCW Power Plant. And if you don't remember, if you haven't been with us long enough to remember, these dark episodes will see matches from across Evolution and Storm. You'll see wrestlers that you haven't seen before, you'll see rookies, you will see it all. And tonight, we have a very special treat for you. In the main event, the Rookie of the Year himself is back. We don't know who he's fighting yet. We'll have to find out. But we begin fittingly with the face of Evolution. And the man that he is fighting, Jacob Ace, half a pretty bad deal, dealing with the Las Vegas connection right now. His incredible GAW journey here in Atlanta during the Storm Chaser tournament. That was where Hernandez went from a rookie, a man of the academy, to becoming the face of the GAW Academy and bringing Storm Chaser into a weekly show and then to Evolution and everything that we've seen. However, during all that time, Hernandez has never held the top championship in the Academy. He will have a chance to change that at Winterfest when he will go up against Kurt Andrews, who held the title against Garrett Gibson this past Monday. Jacob Ace antagonizing the fans. We're just trying to cheer for Eddie Hernandez. It's a couple hundred of GAW's most faithful, along with all of you watching on YouTube, and we really appreciate all of you who joined us. We are less than 2 weeks away from Winterfest. It is going to be so much fun, like this match will be. Hernandez and Ace kicks off another season of GAW Dark, and Hernandez gets it started off the right way. I expect to see from Eddie Hernandez. I would imagine he's going to come out hot here, and he's not going to want to allow Jacob Ace to get on top of him. This is a chance for Hernandez to get a little bit of revenge against Ace, who pulled off a massive upset a few weeks ago. Hernandez defeated, or Ace rather, defeated Hernandez in one-on-one competition. So this is an opportunity for Eddie Hernandez to come back. As for Jacob Ace, he's just going to have to remember how he got the victory the first time. None of this is new to him. Eddie Hernandez's game isn't new to him, although Hernandez, of course, now even has a little bit more of an incentive to try to win tune-up matches like this. He was the tag team champion when Ace defeated him. Well, now Hernandez has an opportunity to win the top title. Jacob Ace, this would be one hell of a victory, and that's a great way to take a step forward. Stands Eddie Hernandez up on the apron. Hernandez did a good job to recover, but you can see Ace using his surroundings to his advantage. This is a pretty large outside the ring area we have here in Atlanta, and we saw this in the Rookie of the Year tournament as well. So Jacob Ace, in my opinion, doing exactly the right thing and just trying to take advantage of the space. It's a veteran move from a man who has far less experience than Eddie Hernandez, especially in the academy. Hernandez off the shoulder into a reverse DDT. And this is exactly the sort of thing you want to see from Eddie Hernandez as he prepares for Winterfest. Kurt Andrews is going to be a really tough challenge for Hernandez in a singles context. Put aside the fact that Andrews, as we know, is capable of cheating to a very large degree, but also the athleticism, the speed he brings in. Hernandez with a twisting brainbuster, caught Ace on the top of his head. Ace kicks out. And now Hernandez looking to go up top, and we know what happens when Hernandez does this. Hernandez speakeasy. We know how dangerous Eddie Hernandez is when he flies like that, but Jacob Ace, just as we saw him do when he defeated Eddie Hernandez the first time. We know that Ace has this in him, and just for whatever reason, Hernandez really struggles with this guy. And you can bet Jacob Ace knows it too. Now Ace gonna take advantage and go for the springboard leg drop. Comes right across the throat of Hernandez. Hernandez trying to come in. He's caught with the left hand. Ace backs him up with the jab, but Hernandez comes straight back in, and he's picked off. Ace gets him up on the shoulders. Hernandez comes down to the other side. This is veteran savvy against a great athlete here. Eddie Hernandez hooks the leg, and again, Ace kicks out. Hernandez taking to the skies. And how much is Ace going to be able to take? How much can Hernandez wear him down? Now Hernandez, oh my goodness. Double rotation moonsault and Ace, are you serious? Man, this kid's tough. We've seen it when he fought Derek and Eric Cole. He's gone up against some of the best with pretty bad deal, and this dude is tough, but Hernandez rolls him through, and now Hernandez has locked him in a triangle choke. Ace cannot reach the ropes, and Ace has to tap out, and finally Hernandez has grinded him down. And Eddie Hernandez, that was a battle. That was an absolute war. Eddie Hernandez. And how tough is Jacob Ace? I mean, we just continue to point this out. Jacob Ace, one of the toughest men that we've seen. And there's absolutely no doubt that Ace is going to be a star, whether it's in the tag team ranks or in the singles ranks. This guy, just against Eddie Hernandez, has proven just how great he is. But I'll tell you this, Eddie Hernandez, this is a man who looks ready. He was undeterred by Ace surviving, and Hernandez certainly looks to me as though he's ready to take on Kurt Andrews at Winterfest. From tag team specialist to a tag team match. Rebelion, Humberto Carrillo, and Angel Garza. We've seen them around Storm a number of times, and this is exactly what GAW Dark is all about. You may not see La Rebelion much on Storm, and there's so many talented teams, but one way that teams like this or wrestlers like Jacob Ace can really get the edge and start building momentum is on Dark. It's something we talked about ad nauseum last year. And it really did work like that for so many. Island Nation now, one of the top teams on Evolution. They got their start on Dark. And people might forget, but Midnight, the first ever Raw champion, man who was undefeated, had the best record in GAW up until Nitro, he debuted on Dark. So this is the sort of thing that Dark is all about. It's I guess you would say more laid back. The fans in Atlanta are passionate. The fans who join us on YouTube are very passionate. And this is what it's all about. I told you you'd see some new faces. We've seen Murphy around here before. Now he's teaming up with an old friend, Wesley Blake. a very, very well-traveled tag team specialist. He's teamed with many of the most dangerous men in the world, and now he joins the former Cruiserweight champion in a tag team match. And this, by the way, will be contested under Tornado rules. Special request from both teams. Let's see how things go. And Angel Garza, immediate spine buster to start things off. Murphy taking advantage of Humberto Carrillo. Now, we just saw a Tornado tag team match less than 2 weeks ago, and it allowed the House of Black to win the tag team championships, and Blake going for an early cover on Garza. Didn't get the job done. Murphy taking Carrillo to the outside with a heavy right hand. So the House of Black took full advantage of the Tornado rules. Murphy with a spine buster. It allowed them to win the tag team championships from War Machine. Became the first team to defeat War Machine this season. Now this team of Blake and Murphy has absolutely taken over, but both Carrillo and Garza able to come up with a big-time reversal, and now Garza inside the ring. Double underhook into the backbreaker, and Carrillo working on Murphy on the outside as well. I'll tell you what, the strategy for a Tornado tag team match, it's a lot different, obviously, when you don't have to worry about making tags, but there is a certain amount of tag team cohesion that has to go into it. And you can see there, Carrillo was trying to get it in the ring to break up the pin on Garza. Murphy stood in his way. Now Carrillo just taunting Murphy to his face. Blake up top. Murphy going after Carrillo. Carrillo was ready, sends Murphy out, and now Blake frontside suplex as Carrillo gonna take to the skies. Carrillo with a splash. Blake with a massive lariat on Garza. And this is the fun of a Tornado tag team match. And you got kind of two different bouts going on at the same time. And you know, how do you work these things? Blake nearly got the job done. Carrillo with a power slam. And obviously Carrillo and Garza opting for a more individualistic approach here. Carrillo not getting into the ring to help out Garza. And at this point, it looks like a good call. Garza got the knees up. Blake was looking for a moonsault, might have ended this thing, but Garza, middle of the ring, it's a wing clipper from Garza as Carrillo and Murphy working on the outside. Murphy can't get separation, Blake kicks out. Garza had done barely anything to try to bring Blake down, and now again, this new tag team of Murphy and Blake seem to have the advantage in both individual matchups. Blake takes down Garza, Murphy slams Carrillo, and again, Garza survives the Blake attack. And this is something that might go underrated as far as Angel Garza is concerned. I don't want to talk about the toughness like we just talked about with Jacob Ace, but certainly the grit that he demonstrates is kind of betrayed by, you know, his personality that we've seen. Murphy back into the ring now, sends Carrillo back in as well, and it looks like the new team of Murphy and Blake might be looking to finish things off right now. Splash from Blake. Carrillo got separation, and Carrillo was there, and it backfired on Murphy to bring it back in. Carrillo with a step-up Hurricane Rana. I think that was a mistake from Murphy to bring Carrillo back into the ring. Now Carrillo sends Blake out. Murphy trying to work on Garza, and again, it's this individualistic approach from La Rebelion that we're seeing again. Garza with a code breaker. Carrillo, multiple elbows to Blake. And now we're seeing two very high-intensity matches seemingly being fought simultaneously. Blake and Carrillo. Garza, long run up for a drop kick. Murphy just swats him aside from a grounded position. That's the strength of Murphy that we're so used to seeing. Now Murphy gets into Murphy's Law. And Carrillo may be needed here. Garza's in trouble, and Carrillo couldn't get there. The power of Murphy's Law. And after so much damage that Blake had inflicted on Garza, you just knew it was going to be that one last attack, and it was Murphy's Law. And the new team, we haven't seen them around before, but I imagine we might be seeing some more of them. Murphy and Blake, they start things off with a win over a very, very good La Rebelion team. Well, we saw Eddie Hernandez earlier, a man who's preparing for a title match at Winterfest. Well, here's another one. Charlotte Flair, coming back a couple weeks ago, attacked Kacy Catanzaro, both verbally and physically. And it seems as though Flair is preparing for her own title match come Winterfest. And somehow someone allowed her to bring the pyro into Atlanta. I don't know who really signed off on that. I guess Charlotte Flair always gets what she wants. Kacy Catanzaro certainly watching on, the Women's World Champion. Catanzaro does not take any challenger lightly, and I know that that will continue to be the case for Charlotte Flair. And the thing about Flair, obviously we know the submission power that she has and the ability to play mind games like she does. I imagine we'll see some more of that today. We saw it against Io Shirai on the last episode of Storm, where Flair had basically made her pass out in the figure eight, but then pinned her anyway. And that's just the sort of thing that we expect to see from Flair, and I imagine that she'll try the same thing against Catanzaro. It's all part of the Queen mind games. But that's part of what makes her so dangerous. And you can compare her to her father all you want, and obviously the comparisons are there, but there is a certain, I guess you would say, old money, quote-unquote, approach to what Charlotte Flair does. Normal circumstances, at least previously in Tegan Nox's career, you'd be happy to see her in a situation like this. Not so over the last year as she's joined up with Dakota Kai to form Team Kick, and it is such an unfortunate thing. Tegan Nox is a very likable person, or at least she used to be, and obviously her story is very inspiring, and she herself is a tremendous talent as a wrestler. So you just feel as though these are some of the best years of her career that she's wasting with the likes of Dakota Kai. At least one could say that. I don't know if I would. Not to Tegan Nox's face. She could probably kick my head into Idaho. Let's see. Charlotte Flair immediately. Heavy dose of knife-edge chops. A strategy she obviously learned from the great Ric Flair. Very famous were the chops, although when you watch Ric Flair and you realize that as famous as the chops were, he didn't necessarily use them for big-time offense the way that Charlotte does. And you see Charlotte using the chops to open up other types of offense, and Tegan Nox answering back with a huge knife edge of her own. Ric Flair, I think it was more showmanship for him, and obviously the master of showmanship was Ric Flair. Charlotte is, if anything, more ruthless in her attack pattern. And you can see the referee right on top of things here now. Flair again with the head scissors, and this time just lands an elbow right on top of the head as the referee was going to call for that rope break once again. You've got to be eagle-eyed if you're an official in a Charlotte Flair match. That much we have seen. We've seen a lot of that transpire as of late. Flair just dropping Nox back first. The former U.S. champion, Tegan Nox. She has some history with Flair. Flair's fought on several occasions to win the United States Championships. He's come up short on each one. Nox Knox with the thrust kick attempt. It's just batted down by Flair, but Knox turns aside the right hand. Now Knox, just like we saw Jacob Ace trying to do, trying to get an advantage on the outside again, leveraging the big ringside area, trying to use that extra space. Flair takes her down in the lariat. I don't think that's something that's talked about very often, is the differences in the dimensions of the entire ring space. Obviously, a ring is a ring is a ring, and in GAW, we have a standard size ring, so that never changes. Flair with a big boot, Knox kicks out. But when you look at on the outside, the dimensions can be quite different, and that will change, I think, the strategy that is employed. Charlotte Flair going in, Knox locked her up in a small package, and Tegan Knox trying to steal it. Well done from Knox, leveraging the quickness. And now Knox gonna use a submission of her own on Flair, the referee calling Flair's foot underneath the ropes. It's hard to tell who the fans would want to win this type of match more. Neither of these women are particular fan favorites. Knox with a fall-away slam. You can see Flair barely fazed by it. Knox going straight back in, ground and pound. For being half of Team Kick, we're not seeing a whole lot of kicks from Tegan Knox. There's been a lot of strikes, as we're seeing right now. There's a kick, Knox over the top, code red rather, and Knox held on into the cover. Flair fires out. Flair is incredibly strong, and now Knox with a Shining Wizard. She didn't get the run-up that we're used to seeing from the shiniest Wizard. Still might be enough, it's not. I think Knox getting a little arrogant there, thinking, all right, code red almost took her out. Well, let's just try a short run-up, but that's not gonna work. Flair's tough. And although she hasn't had the GAW career that maybe she would have wanted so far, in fact, I'm positive of that, and she's still one of the best competitors in the world. Tegan Knox learning that firsthand. With Knox, you always got to question, how close is Dakota Kai? What will they do for each other? I don't know if Kai will be involved here today, but Flair with a big lariat. Knox tried to block it, and Flair just passing the guard easily. This is the power of Charlotte Flair. And Flair just went over the top with a natural selection. It's something that she used a lot last season, but it didn't get the job done. Flair had decided last season, I believe, that the figure eight was just not effective. It was too predictable. She instead decided to go for the natural selection as her finisher of choice. It didn't work so well. And it seems as though Flair is going to have to transition out of that this season. We already saw the figure eight get the better of Io Shirai. Beautiful neck breaker. Flair again, heavy right hand. Look at this offensive explosion from Charlotte Flair. And now Flair, she's got the legs, and Charlotte Flair, now we're going to see it for a second time. We saw it against Io Shirai. It was effective there. Got the tap out, or got the pinfall rather. Now Flair, figure eight on Tegan Knox, and Knox has to tap out. Charlotte Flair and the figure eight, one of the most iconic duos in wrestling. And it got the job done against Tegan Knox. As I said, last season, it seemed as though Flair had given up on the figure eight, had said it was too predictable and tried to go for other things. Now it seems Flair firmly on the figure eight bandwagon. It's 2 wins and as many matches, both with the figure eight for the Queen. And Women's World Champion Casey Catanzaro may very well be in the future plans for Charlotte Flair.
Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air.
I promised you'd see rookies. Obviously, we will still see the Rookie of the Year. I did promise that, and we will deliver. That'll be in the main event. But Marlon Wright, one of a group of very talented rookies just trying to find their way in GAW somehow. And we've seen lots of varying strategies from these rookies. I think the team of Marlon Wright and Chris Alexa is a promising one. It even got the blessing of Chris Sabin, one of the great tag team wrestlers in history. We obviously saw Wolf Stormsong getting involved against Garrett Gibson. Stormsong potentially cost Gibson an Apex championship against Kurt Andrews, and Gibson just can't catch a break. The Big Texan, one of the most popular men, maybe one of the most unlucky men. What a year Jackel's had. Take away the fact that he disappeared for a couple months, but he won the Goldberg Beat the Clock Challenge at Nitro. It was a thrilling contest. Jackel won it, got the momentum going forward, disappeared for a time, then came back and qualified for the Challenger Briefcase ladder match, becoming Evolution's first ever representative in the match. We will see that at Winterfest. So Jackel's had himself a great season so far. Now he will take on the rookie Marlon Wright, and Wright, that's a good start. Trying to take Jackel out of his game plan. That didn't last long. Jackel, an incredibly talented luchador, and the man who took La Tortuga Roja's mask. As tragic as that event was, unfortunately, Jackel will go down in history as the man who unmasked a Mexican underground legend. Jackel with a moonsault. And this is exactly how he did it. You know, it's all about the athleticism for Jackel and the traditional lucha libre stylings that he brings. So Marlon Wright is going to have to do, I think, a better job than what we saw in the Rookie of the Year tournament in terms of trying to match tempo and convert that into his own game plan. What I mean by that is sometimes you do have to, I guess you would say, respect the tempo of the other wrestler, and you have to be able to turn that into your own game plan. And you can't force it. And I think one of the masters of that is actually Derek Cole. Just in terms of, you never feel like he's flustered. You feel like whatever the tempo is, Cole is able to handle it, and he's able to use that and use that as part of his plan for the whole match. He never feels like he's out of his element. And that's something that Marlon Wright needs to improve on, because I think in the Rookie of the Year tournament we saw that if he wasn't able to set the tempo, he struggled, and that was a problem in his matches with the likes of Takahashi, where Takahashi was just throwing lots of strikes, and Wright just wasn't able to keep up with that. Jackel with a beautiful handspring Pele. And this is what I mean. I think Wright just gets overwhelmed when the pace is just not what he was wanting to see coming in. And Jackel is one of the best at doing this. Jackel is the total opposite. He will force pace. And he'll do that by, bringing in all of these traditional lucha libre moves and, leveraging all this that we see from him. Jackel over the top of the sliced bread. Just a dead jump over a 6-foot-tall Marlon Wright, who kicks out. And at every position Jackel's in, he can mix things up. I mean, out of that position, we've seen him go for the face wrecker. He obviously goes for that sliced bread. Everything he does, he has multiple weapons on top of everything. Right, nice counter off of that DDT. Great takedown. Now Wright trying to settle into the match a little bit more, but again, he's caught. Jackel gets him up onto the shoulders, and then Jackel just drops him face first, straight over the knee. And again, Jackel, one of the most promising men that we've seen in GAW, like his attitude or not. This is the sort of thing that we've come to expect from him. Wright again, fighting his way off of a dangerous position on the ropes. Now Wright, good takedown, transitions, ground and pound. And Wright again, just trying to do what he can. Wright gets him up, and Wright got him with that brain buster. He calls it the truth. Wright, no. I like the attempt there from Wright. Unfortunately, I just don't think enough damage had been done to Jackel. And Wright, we saw the truth was very effective when he was able to hit it during the Rookie of the Year tournament. But again, he just gets overwhelmed by tempo. And now against Jackel, you're dealing with some of the best here. And it's worth noting, by the way, that these other rookies, if you're not Takahashi, then as far as we know, there are no rookies with a contract for Evolution. So Wright is here truly as a freelancer here on Dark and trying to make the most of it. Wolf Storm Song, I would imagine, attacked Garrett Gibson at the behest of Kurt Andrews. We saw Garrett Gibson fight Adonis Carter a couple weeks ago. That was a special request by Gibson as the thrust kick turned aside by Jackel. So still, as far as we know, Takahashi is the only rookie with a contract on Evolution, and he is making the absolute most of it. And again, we'll see him later on. We still have one more Storm match to go. Jackel over the top again with the sliced bread. Wright throwing that right hand wildly, and now Jackel has Wright and Jackel. And we saw that very thing defeat Xavier Cross. Jackel high stack and Wright. Some great determination shown by the rookie. You gotta love what you're seeing from Marlon Wright. If you are a Wright fan, and I know that there are a few over in our Discord, Wright was a guy I think is pretty easy to root for, and that's what we saw during the Rookie of the Year tournament. Despite the fact that he was a part of Team Andrews, he and Chris Alexa had quite a rivalry, them being two of the most experienced men in the Rookie of the Year tournament. Again, Wright looking for the truth, and this time Jackel was prepared for it. That's another thing Wright's gonna have to improve. You gotta improve the weapons. Now Jackel up off the ropes, Irish whip. Wright comes up, Jackel with the Jackel's ending. That's the exact move we saw him use to defeat La Tortuga Roja last season, and Marlon Wright, unfortunately, doesn't stand a chance. Jackel did that onto a steel chair to defeat La Tortuga Roja and unmask him. That was last season. Again, for those of you that were around with us to witness that, it was Jackel's ascendance from being this young, promising competitor on the in the Storm Chaser tournament to, well, maybe not being popular, but certainly being one of the most feared men of his age, and we've certainly seen that bear out. Jackel with a big win and some momentum going into Winterfest, where he will take part in the Challenger Briefcase ladder match. It doesn't matter where Kofi Kingston goes in the world, he is perpetually the most popular man in the room, and with good reason. His story is incredibly inspirational, and even in GAW, he became the Intercontinental Champion by defeating Adam Cole in two of the most unbelievable matches that we've seen. Truly one of the most stunning championship wins ever. And Kingston did the IC Championship proud. There's absolutely no doubt about that. He hasn't been able to ascend those heights since he won that championship back in season 1, but you know, there's no time like the present. As we always say on Dark, this is where great things begin. We saw it so many times, whether it was wrestlers on Storm or Evolution last season. Dark is the place where big runs start. Well, you had to assume that the Black and Gold would get a representative here on GAW Dark's return. And it will be Kyle O'Reilly, whose tag team partner Bobby Fish is headed to the Challenger Briefcase ladder match at Winterfest. Still 2 more participants from Storm to be decided. We know that Flyboy will join Jackel and Fish as a representative from Evolution. So still 3 more men in the match to be decided and will be decided over the next week and a half. Storm will have a doubleheader of qualifiers on the final show before Winterfest. We've been overloaded with title matches over on Storm as of late. I don't mean that in a bad way at all. Storm has rapidly become the most competitive wrestling promotion maybe that I've ever seen. It's hard for me to think of a promotion that puts as many titles on the line as Storm has and has as many close matches and upsets as Storm has had. You can hear the chants for Kofi Kingston ringing out here in Atlanta, and what a win this would be for Kingston if he is to grab it against O'Reilly. The Black and Gold, I don't want to say they've taken over Storm as of yet, because in reality, the House of Black actually has more titles than the Black and Gold do. Both the Intercontinental Champion Matt Riddle and the Tag Team Champions representing the house. But the Black and Gold have certainly been the biggest story, and World Champion Adam Cole has made sure that the Black and Gold is front and center. There's also no way of truly knowing how big the Black and Gold is. To be honest, that's something that I'm curious about myself, because it seems like every week we've got new members popping up. Gallus challenged for the Tag Team Championships, as well as Mustache Mountain, who were 2 of the earliest additions to the Black and Gold. But now we've seen Red Dragon, we've seen Phantasma, Raul Mendoza, and DJ Z. Phantasma lost in his singles debut this past Friday. But you just don't know how big the Black and Gold really is. Roderick Strong, for example, is he a part of it? He challenged Adam Cole, and there was a bit of class between those 2, which we're not used to seeing from the world champion, even after a win. So again, I guess the questions are around who's part of the Black and Gold, and is Drew McIntyre part of the Black and Gold? He'll be fighting Walter for the WXW Unified Championship at Winterfest. O'Reilly with a beautiful brain buster straight into the crucifix cover. Referee took a second to get there, and Kingston takes full advantage. Man, talk about Kyle O'Reilly. This guy can hurt you from anywhere, and now he's going to try to do it from the top rope. As O'Reilly with a spinning heel kick from the top. And O'Reilly using that submission, that jiu-jitsu background that he possesses. Triangle choke from O'Reilly. Kingston does the exact right thing, perches him up. Look at the strength from Kofi Kingston. Wow. Pulling a Matt Hughes there was Kingston, and getting the upper hand in the process. Just deadlifting Kyle O'Reilly, and now Kingston follows it up. Kingston, you just see the athleticism, the springiness from Kingston. Unbelievable, and follows that up with a big time uppercut. Flush connection. I don't want to say Kingston is an underrated athlete. I don't think he is. But I think he doesn't get talked about enough as being one of the best athletes we have. Kingston ducks underneath what would have been a massive roundhouse and a diving double foot stomp. Kingston comes down right on the chest now. Kingston, trouble in paradise. O'Reilly starched him. O'Reilly saw the trouble in paradise coming, but now Kingston turns aside, and O'Reilly right hand. Kingston seems to be very comfortable with the number of strikes thrown in this match. That just speaks to the veteran savvy of Kofi Kingston. Not very many men would be comfortable getting into this type of match with Kyle O'Reilly. Kingston goes in and he's caught. Exploder suplex. Kingston right back to his feet. O'Reilly heavy right now. O'Reilly with a regal plex. O'Reilly with the bridge. Kyle O'Reilly. I guess just further adding to the intrigue. I asked the question, is Drew McIntyre part of the black and gold? Well, Kyle O'Reilly paying tribute to one of the greats with that regal plex. And a great end to a great match as Kofi Kingston showed out incredibly well for himself. Kyle O'Reilly just one step better on this night. And the black and gold continue their momentous run. Adam Cole may have the toughest challenge of his life waiting for him at Winterfest in the form of Johnny Gargano. But for right now, the black and gold, for the most part, it's looking up. Let's get to our main event now, the Rookie of the Year in action. Faithful got very used to seeing Takahashi en route to becoming the Rookie of the Year. And you can see Takahashi came out for his first pro match wearing the powder blue to signify his Rookie of the Year status. Well, he's gone back to the pink and black that we got so used to seeing him in, and I think it's a tribute and a thank you to Atlanta, the place where we first saw Takahashi, the place that launched him well and truly into superstardom. I think that much can be said without controversy. Takahashi made a huge splash against Lee Carr. He's already attracted the attention of the mysterious Mr. Sinister. I mean, this guy is the Rookie of the Year. I mean that in terms of the fact that he won the competition, but everything you expect a Rookie of the Year to be, Takahashi is. And so I can't think of a more fitting main event for our first dark, but who?
Feel like I'm king of the pirates, give me the choice and I'm choosing the violence. I don't give a fuck if you like it, all of this bloodshed, they get me excited.
Who indeed? Are you kidding me? When you're the Rookie of the Year, you attract attention. And right now, Takahashi has attracted attention from maybe the greatest underground wrestler that ever lived. Talk about your underground Mount Rushmore. Lancelot is on it no matter who you are. And Lancelot is here in Atlanta on GAW Dark. This is unbelievable. We call Eddie Hernandez the face of Evolution. He most certainly is, but very few men have had as much of a hand in shaping what we now know as Evolution as much as Lancelot has. And now Lancelot will himself get the opportunity to face down the Rookie of the Year. Here we go. What a main event for our return here to GAW Dark, our return to Atlanta, and they get to see the man that they witnessed blossom from an unknown into the Rookie of the Year, face down the 126-time champion. Lancelot's championship winning record is absolutely unparalleled. This is a man who knows how to win, and now Lancelot transitions off the powerbomb into the Samoan drop. Lancelot knows how to win, and now Takahashi, I think it's safe to say this is the toughest challenge he's had to face down yet. No disrespect to Lee Carr, no disrespect to any of the rookies. Lancelot is just a different beast. Takahashi, though, playing his game and answering back. Meteora from Takahashi, and a cutter. You gotta respect Takahashi not backing down here from Lancelot. And Takahashi getting his first, right in front of Lancelot, but he takes a boot to the face to pay for it. I do like it, though, from Takahashi, to be honest with you. I think that when you are a young gun and you're going up against a veteran at all, but certainly one with the pedigree that Lancelot has, I think you tend to take yourself a little bit too seriously, and I do think that it comes back to bite you. I think Takahashi, he's playing his game. He's staying very calm, and that's what he needs to do here against Lancelot. Yes, Lancelot is a legend. Yes, he's one of the greatest of all time, maybe the greatest of all time, but you can't be thinking about all that. You just have to treat this as a normal match. And it's funny when you think about it, you wonder, how good is Lancelot really? I mean, you're watching a legend run his game, and Takahashi most certainly watched Lancelot for much of his life. Takahashi was a passionate fan of the underground, so he certainly watched Lancelot do what he did, and now he's getting it firsthand, and you're getting a real sense of why Lancelot was so good, how he won as many championships as he has, how he's become one of the top wrestlers in GAW in such a short time. Lancelot guillotines Takahashi over the rope. But Takahashi again able to get a nice trip. Takahashi going down, but Lancelot again, that ring awareness. Takahashi avoids the knee. Tremendous defense from the Rookie of the Year. Lancelot breaks him down with the strikes, but Takahashi avoids what would have been a huge lariat. What an even matchup we've seen so far, and it's just amazing that we can say that these rookies that we saw on Rookie of the Year, they were so good. And we kept saying it, they're so talented. And you're seeing it now. Takahashi is standing in here with Lancelot. This is not a puncher's chance kind of thing here. He's not lucky to be standing in with Lancelot. He is earning his keep with one of the greatest of all time. Lancelot just knocks him down off the top. That is vicious brutality, and this, you start to get into the deep waters in this match, and this is where Takahashi is really going to be tested. The cardio that you need to be able to do this. Lancelot has been working on it for years, for decades. Lancelot has built up the lungs necessary to work in matches like this. Takahashi, for as great as he was, maybe what he lacks is the cardio. Because so many of his Rookie of the Year matches were short. He finished his opponents quickly. You're not going to be able to do the same against Lancelot. Nice takedown, Takahashi. You just got to wonder, when is that spinning heel kick maybe going to come out? At some point, oh man! Takahashi tried to play defense against that lariat. Takahashi unable to do it. Lancelot with an EMP. Lancelot pulls him right down, and Lancelot into the cover. Oh no! It's your first big test, Takahashi, and you passed. That was fantastic, and the fans in Atlanta lighting up. Rookie versus legend, and what a way to conclude the return of GAW Dark. This is amazing. This is the kind of thing you can only see here on GAW Lancelot, one of the most recognizable names in all of underground wrestling. Takahashi was an unknown until showing up here in general admission wrestling. And they are facing down on Dark. Lancelot with a massive knee, and Lancelot gonna follow it up. Lancelot with a knee. There's no doubt the veteran has control, but Takahashi has been staying with him every step of the way. What a power slam. Lancelot now going up top. We saw him hit a Meteora out of this position earlier. Lancelot, will he go for the same thing? He's gonna walk the ropes. Takahashi brought him down. Great awareness from the rookie, and I've never seen Lancelot do that. Somehow Takahashi was able to predict it. Only a 1 count after Takahashi dropped him on the top turnbuckle. Now the rookie will go up top, and Takahashi lines him up. Moonsault! Takahashi models so much of his game off of the great Aleister Black, something that he has said he grew up idolizing Black, and now Takahashi getting Lancelot up. Takahashi! The spinning heel kick. Lancelot ducked underneath it, and that was our first attempt. That was the first time we saw that spinning heel kick. It was utilized, and Lancelot was up to the challenge that time. And again, it's exactly what we come to expect. This is what fighting the veterans is like. Takahashi getting first-hand experience. Takahashi going for that roundhouse block the first time, not the second time. Takahashi again getting Lancelot up, and this time Lancelot went straight at him. No rest in this match, and again, we are more than 7 minutes deep in a hellacious bout. Absolutely no time for rest. The attack from Lancelot has been constant. And the question is, does Takahashi have the cardio to do this for potentially another 2.5 minutes? Or is Lancelot truly going to finish this thing off? Takahashi stunned up against the ropes, able to fight his way out of it. Great job there from Takahashi. Now gets Lancelot up onto his feet. Takahashi transition, power bomb over the top. And Takahashi will go to follow it up. The Atlanta crowd is going wild as the Rookie of the Year with 2 minutes left in the main event. Takahashi going to fly Meteora. This is truly something special. And what a way to round out GAW Dark. What a way to bring in Winterfest less than 2 weeks away. Takahashi working on the arm on the outside, 90 seconds to go. Great poise shown here by the Rook. Lancelot threw on the brakes before he got to the steel steps. Takahashi waiting for him back in the ring. Takahashi, very smartly done, jumps right on top of him. As we approach a minute left, the draw starting to become a realistic option here. Both men have to manage the clock. They've done it so far. Now Lancelot bringing Takahashi into the Dragon Sleeper, but Takahashi hooked the bottom rope instantly. The ring awareness from the Rookie, it betrays his age, man. This guy is unbelievable. Lancelot going up top. Takahashi hurls him off. Kick to the back, does not faze the veteran. Lancelot yanks him back into the Saito suplex. As we approach 30 seconds to go, Lancelot going in. Takahashi able to play defense, and again with that trip, Takahashi trips up the former champion. Now, as we approach 20 seconds left, Takahashi with the moonsault again. And Takahashi first cover in what feels like forever. No! 15 seconds. Takahashi got to do something here. 10 seconds. Takahashi, combination. Lancelot comes right back. Lancelot drop kick, swatted away. Takahashi spinning heel kick. Takahashi Takahashi put him down. Is there enough time? Referee into the cover. 2. No! It's a time limit draw. Takahashi. He would have put away Lancelot right there. That was the end. But just not enough time. Unreal.